2025 was supposed to be Caitlin Clark's coronation. After an electrifying rookie season that shattered every expectation and turned the WNBA upside down, the Indiana Fever superstar was ready to cement her legacy as the face of women's basketball. The hype was real, the expectations were sky high, and the stage was set for dominance. But sports have a cruel way of humbling even the brightest stars. What followed was a season that tested Clark in ways she never imagined. Just 4 games into the 2025 season, on May 24th, disaster struck when Clark strained her left quad during a game against the New York Liberty. It was the first injury of what would become a nightmare cascade of setbacks. After missing time, she returned on June 14th and managed to play 5 more games before the same quad injury flared up again. The pattern was established: push to return, feel ready, then get knocked back down. On July 15th, in what seemed like a routine 87-77 victory over the Connecticut Sun, Clark suffered a right groin injury. It happened in the final minute of the game, a cruel twist of timing that would mark the beginning of the end for her 2025 campaign. This wasn't just another muscle strain. It was the 4th separate muscle injury Clark had endured during the season. For someone who had never missed a game during her legendary 4-year college career at Iowa, this was uncharted territory. The mental toll was just as brutal as the physical pain. As if the groin injury wasn't enough, Clark also suffered a bone bruise during her recovery process. In early August, she dealt with an ankle injury that she later described as one of the worst sprains she'd ever experienced in her career. The hits just kept coming. For weeks, speculation swirled. When would she return? Could she make it back for the playoffs? The Fever were holding on to the 8th seed, desperately needing their star to lead them back to contention. Fans held their breath. Social media erupted with every practice photo, every sideline appearance, searching for clues about her return. Clark herself poured everything into getting back. She said, "I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling." But on September 4th, the announcement that everyone dreaded finally came. Caitlin Clark's season was over. In just 13 games, she averaged 16.5 points, 5.0 rebounds, 8.8 assists, 1.6 steals, and 2.2 triples per game. Numbers that were solid but nowhere near what she or anyone expected from a full season. The Fever pushed forward without her, narrowly missing their ultimate goal. The what-ifs lingered. What if Clark had stayed healthy? What if the injuries never happened? What could have been? But here's what separates legends from everyone else. They don't stay down. While Clark was sidelined, she wasn't silent. She stayed engaged with her teammates, with the league, and with the issues that mattered. When fellow star Napheesa Collier publicly challenged WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert over player compensation, Clark had her back immediately. The controversy centered around shocking allegations. Collier claimed that Commissioner Engelbert was indifferent to Clark's salary situation, allegedly saying she should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court. The full quote, according to Collier, was, "Caitlin should be grateful. She makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything." Let that sink in. Despite all the good Clark has done for the league, boosting TV ratings, attendance, and merchandise sales, she earned just $78,066 during the 2025 season. Clark was responsible for over a quarter of the WNBA's entire revenue in 2024, and was projected to earn the league up to $1 billion in 2025, according to finance expert Ryan Brewer. Clark's arrival in spring 2024 sent the league's television ratings, attendance, media rights, sponsorships, and franchise evaluations soaring. Overnight, billionaires were fighting to pay $250 million for teams of their own. She single-handedly transformed the economic landscape of women's basketball. And yet the disconnect between her value and her compensation became a flashpoint for everything wrong with the WNBA's salary structure. Clark didn't hesitate to stand with Collier when she spoke out. In her own words, she gave Collier her unqualified support, reinforcing that this fight wasn't just about one player. It was about respect, fairness, and recognizing the stars who were carrying the league into a new era of relevance and profitability. While rehabbing and fighting for systemic change, Clark also reminded everyone that she's still just a 23-year-old who loves sports beyond basketball. During the intense winner-take-all Game 5 of the National League Division Series, the Iowa native and former Hawkeye star took to social media to support the Chicago Cubs against the Milwaukee Brewers. "Come on, Cubbies," she posted on X. It was a small moment, but it showed who Clark is when the cameras aren't rolling. Authentic, passionate, connected to her roots, and unafraid to be herself. And through it all, something else was happening. Something the outside world couldn't fully see. Clark was transforming. The months away from competition weren't wasted. They were invested. Strength training, mental conditioning, film study, working with the Fever's medical team to address every weakness, every vulnerability that led to the injury cascade. This wasn't just about healing. This was about evolution. Reports from those close to the team suggest Clark is stronger, faster, and more focused than she's ever been. The physical transformation is apparent, but it's the mental shift that might be even more significant. She's experienced adversity at a level she never faced in college. She's dealt with disappointment, frustration, and doubt, and she came through it with steel in her spine. Then came the news that sent shockwaves through the basketball world. Vegas released their 2026 WNBA MVP odds, and Caitlin Clark is sitting at plus 310, second favorite in the entire league, trailing only Nafisa Collier. Let me repeat that. After missing most of 2025, after playing just 13 games, after a season that could have broken her confidence, the odds makers believe Clark is the second most likely player to win MVP next year. That's cold, hard gambling logic, recognizing that a fully healthy Caitlin Clark is one of the most dangerous forces in basketball. Think about what that means. While her base salary will rise slightly to $85,873 in 2026, her value to the league, to her team, and to the sport remains immeasurable. The market knows it, the fans know it, and most importantly, Clark knows it. This is personal now. Every game she missed, every playoff game she watched from the sidelines, every doubt whispered about whether she could come back the same player. It's all fuel. The Indiana Fever are built around her. With another year of development for their young core, with a fully healthy Clark orchestrating the offense and setting the tone defensively, this team has championship potential. The pieces are there, the infrastructure is there. All that was missing was their leader at full strength. 2026 isn't just about redemption for Clark. It's about proving that setbacks are just setups for comebacks. It's about showing that the hype from her rookie year wasn't a fluke. It's about taking everything she learned from the darkest season of her career and using it as rocket fuel for the best season of her career. She doesn't need to prove herself to the doubters anymore. She needs to prove it to herself. And if history has taught us anything, it's that Caitlin Clark thrives when the stakes are highest. She hit the biggest shots in college basketball history. She broke every record that mattered. She turned the WNBA into must-watch television as a rookie. Now, after a year of adversity, after a season stolen by injuries, she gets her shot at the ultimate comeback story. The narrative writes itself, from injury hell to MVP heaven, from the lowest moment of her professional career to potentially the highest. It's the kind of story that transcends sports. It's about resilience, about refusing to let circumstances define you, about getting knocked down and choosing to come back stronger. Vegas believes. The fans believe. Her teammates believe. The only question left is whether her body will hold up, whether the injury demons of 2025 stay in the past where they belong, whether the strength and conditioning work pays off over the grind of a full WNBA season. But if there's one thing we've learned about Caitlin Clark over the years, it's this: never bet against her. The 2026 WNBA season is still months away. Clark will continue her off-season work, building her body back to peak condition and beyond. The Indiana Fever will prepare for a season where expectations are sky-high once again, and across the league opponents will be watching, knowing that a fully healthy Caitlin Clark is a problem they don't have an answer for. This isn't just another season. This is the revenge tour. This is the comeback nobody saw coming. This is Caitlin Clark's moment to remind the world exactly who she is. And something tells me she's ready to make the most of it. The internet is already buzzing. Social media is lighting up with anticipation. The hype train is leaving the station. By the time the season tips off, the energy around Clark's return will be electric. From injury hell to MVP heaven. The journey starts now, and if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss something special.